He is the man who runs the conglomerate of Jomboy Media and getting set for the All-Star Game next week, which you can follow through the Talkin Baseball podcast, part of Jomboy Media. Jomboy himself is here on the Rich Eisen Show. Good to see you again, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me.
Of course, anytime. I'm not going to lie, this is a therapy session for me, in a way.
Okay.
Because the Yankees were 50-22 when they went into Fenway Park and won the first meeting between the Yankees and the Red Sox. They are now 55-38. I'll do the math. That's 5-16. What has happened to the Yankee team that won 50 of their first 72?
A lot of the same things that have happened in past seasons, which is disappointing because this team felt different for a while. Last 3 years, they've started off so hot, and then they hit this June swoon, and this one's particularly bad. And I do think that Red Sox series exposed a lot of the flaws. I'm giving credit to the Red Sox on that because I think after that, people saw, okay, let's jump fastballs early. The Yankees were the team that had the least swings on 0-0 counts against them. And now they're getting a ton, and Rodon is really struggling with that. His ERA is above 10 since that Red Sox start. Obviously, the Red Sox exposed just run on the catchers. You can steal all day. Singles become doubles, and they haven't been able to recover or counterpunch. And then, of course, you have some injuries. Stanton going down has hurt. I think that's really the only one on the injury front that has hurt them, though.
Yeah, I guess because Rizzo was seemingly still struggling from his concussion last year, we're assuming, or a defraying of his abilities. I think it took about almost a month for DJ LeMahieu to hit his first extra base hit after coming back from his season-beginning injury. So what are the fixes for this sort of thing, in your estimation?
Stan coming back would be nice because I think there was a perceived threat of Rizzo that teams were like, well, he's not hitting well now, but he's going to come around. And maybe if Rizzo was still healthy and performing at the level he was at this point, that threat would be gone. So that's why I think Stan's the big one, because right now teams are walking Soto and then attacking Judge out of the zone or a lot of breaking stuff in the zone. And once you get past those two, you kind of are home free. So they need someone to protect Judge. You know, Verdugo and Stanton was a threat, so there's some pitches being made there. They also need a leadoff hitter to get on, so then Soto sees some strikes, and then the whole bullpen. So there's kind of a lot, and that's the scary part. It's the infield and the bullpen need a lot of help.
So I'll ask the question that my colleague Chris Brockman posed to me in our Overreaction Monday segment this week that really hit a nerve, certainly for a guy that was a diehard Mattingly fan and how his career was quote-unquote wasted. Do you think the Yankees are wasting Aaron Judge's best years right now, Jomboy?
We're this season away from it becoming a Mike Trout narrative, which is not fun. Now, obviously, they've been in the playoffs. When they got to the ALCS in 2022, they were not a good team. They only had Judge and Rizzo and got swept by the Astros. So, yeah, I do think that narrative, I've already seen it a little bit. I'm like, I don't know yet because they've made the playoffs and then haven't come through in the dance, whereas Mike Trout, they never even got him there besides that one time. But, yes, you need to build around him. Unfortunately, they gave him a ton of money. So if they want to bring Soto back and give him a ton of money, you're going to have all, controlled contracts and rookies surrounding them. And their ability to develop these players to surround their stars hasn't really showed itself.
Well, and then that's where things lie on the lap of Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone. Do you think, or are you hearing, not to place you into the lane of information, men and women from the baseball industry, but your ears to the ground, you talk more baseball than anybody else. And so is there any sense that this 5-16 swoon, if it continues through the All-Star break, could actually cost somebody a gig? Could Hal actually be shaken into George action?
In my I haven't heard anything. I don't think people I think people just say it'll never happen because it just doesn't seem like that has happened. Cashman he was quoted saying he thinks managers a 10-year run. That's what like Torrey had, and it was even longer. That's what Girardi had. And I believe there was a quote after the 2021 season saying he believes managers, 10 years is a good amount of time for a manager. So they extended Boone the last time this came up. But last year was a Cashman and the front office issue. They had not a lot of talent on the roster at all. This year they have talent to win, and they have the pitching staff to win, and they really believe in guys like Verdugo and Volpe and Glaber. So then who does it land on now that they're not winning and they seem defeated, and we've seen lackadaisical play? That's got to land on the coaching staff and Boone. And I asked Boone about that the last time I chatted with him yesterday, and he said they are trying. I understand it can be perceived that way. And I said, well, that's tough to swallow because it really looks like they're not in it. They just think that they will be. The message of the Boone era seems to be, if we play to our abilities and we just stay steady, we'll be fine and we'll get out of this. But they've never gotten out of the rut. So almost needs a new message of let's change some things. Let's try something different. And I don't know if we're going to see that because we haven't in the last couple of years.
As founder of Jomboy Media, Jomboy here on the Rich Eisen Show. Just talked to a lot of Yankees. Let's talk about some teams that are performing a heck of a lot better, and that's at the top of the AL East right now, the Baltimore Orioles. And again, I don't know if it's just that they had so many draft choices because they were so horrible for so long. But it does seem that they hit on so many of these kids, and it's gelling, and that's just another sort of jarring aspect of. Obviously, Ben Rice hitting 3 home runs in a game was nice for the Yankees, but you don't see that out of New York. You see that out of Baltimore. You're seeing what's going on in Cleveland. What do you make of the rest of the American League right now, halfway through, Jomboy?
Well, Boston is playing really well, and their pitching staff has been excellent. That's tough to do in Fenway, where runs are very common. And the Orioles are young, feisty. They come at you a lot of ways. I think the Orioles need to make some moves at the deadline, and they have the ability to do that because they have such an influx of talent, especially it's overcrowded in the infield in a way. It's surprising the Rays and Jays are that far behind. I thought it would be more than a 3-team race, and I thought one of those teams would be in the race. But they're all playing good ball right now, and there's a lot of games to go against each other in the AL East. The Orioles are scary to me. If they make a couple more moves, get another starting pitcher, they're pretty scary. The Red Sox I don't know if they're scary to the rest of the league, but like I said, they seem to know exactly how to beat the Yankees this season, and that's frustrating.
Jomboy here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk National League as well. We were discussing the other day in the All-Star Game that's coming up next week. Baseball should just say, listen, Ranger Suarez, we'll tip a cap to you and Sale and, whoever's had a terrific first half of the season from opening day to now. But why not start Paul Skenes in the All-Star Game for the National League because of the heat that's on him and the heat that he throws? What do you make of that, Jomboy? Why not?
That would be a great marketing move. And what is the All-Star Game about? Is it about rewarding the best that have played the first half of the season? It's not even really the half because voting starts at maybe a third of the season in. It's always been my gripe is, you have a good first third and you're an all-star. And then 20 years from now, we go, well, he was an all-star in that year. And it's like, well, he could have been terrible the next 2/3 of the season. Or is it a marketing ploy? And the home run derby is definitely a marketing ploy. And I do believe that if Skenes started it, you would have way more eyeballs. So you just have to read the room of the players. Obviously, baseball is a sport that tries to stay true to its history, even though it doesn't make sense because there's so many different errors and standpoints of talent assessment. But I like that. I would vote on the marketing side of, hey, if this guy starts, more people are going to tune in that would not tune in otherwise.
And you're a perfect guy to ask about this, man, because you've created a remarkable business out of talking the sport that everybody kind of carps on for not having a national following, that it's a regional sport now. When, again, I'm 55, older than you, but when I was a kid, baseball was still the national pastime. And so to me, making moves like this would be sort of akin to the proper tinkering that the pitch clock has brought to the equation, that the getting rid of the shift, the bigger bases, making moves like this, as opposed to the gimmicks they tried to say World Series home field advantage is based on who wins this All-Star game. Like, make the All-Star game something like this, Jomboy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate the fan vote to get guys there. I also sometimes we saw in whatever year it was when all the Royals were voted in and they had to adjust it a little bit. And he was like, well, we can't do that. But if, the rule that every team needs to send someone, we're already saying, okay, so someone that's earned it is going to get screwed if the person, thankfully, Tanner Scott and the Marlins this year deserves it. But we've had times where someone just has to go because every team needs to be represented. So that's already setting the precedent that you can earn your spot, but have it taken from you because of a marketing reason, which I'm for. So you would just need to get all the old heads and the people that say he hasn't earned it yet, he can't be starting in his first year, to just simmer down and say, no, it's going to be great for the growth of the game, which everyone cares about.
Yeah, and everyone should. And, the stuff that you're doing as well, a 12-minute breakdown of Elly De La Cruz's greatness is exactly the sort of material, we were talking about here the other day. What did you glean from all of that with this kid, Jomboy?
He's unbelievable. He's so fast. He's like a glitch in your screen from first to second. And yeah, I wanted to see a deep dive because I've realized the caught stealing and stolen base numbers, the way that we have been tracking them, are just incorrect. And for years, I've been looking at this data and thinking about it. If you look at it right now, the Yankees catchers, it says they're decent at throwing runners out. They're not. The pitcher will turn around when the runner starts to steal and throw it to second baseman. He'll be out. But because they'll give that to the catcher of record. So it says Jose Trevino's thrown out like 10 runners. He has not. He's thrown out 3. The pitcher has. He was just standing behind the plate in the squatting position. So I wanted to deep dive into Elly De La Cruz. Like, how many times has this kid attempted to take off per available times? And it was insane. He's always running. And why wouldn't he be? He's a glitch.
I mean, would you say we haven't seen somebody like him since Ricky Henderson? I'm serious.
And I can't say that I've seen Ricky Henderson, in the way, being old enough to actively watch and know what's going on. So,
well, I mean, just in terms of that, I mean, the guy would stand at home plate and you had to stop what you were doing. When the guy got in the batter's box, you had to stop what you were doing. And then when he got on base, there was like an oh no aspect of it if you were going against Ricky. And then he would invariably wind up on third. Before honestly, he would wind up on third before maybe the second batter after him was a couple strikes into a count. That's how crazy it was. And also, he could just pop one in the gap, or he could pop one out of the park. And then in the field, he would be just as entertaining as well.
I've been lost in the highlights a lot. And with Elly, he leads the league in strikeouts right now, and that's not always a terrible thing. Judge led the league in strikeouts his rookie year, also won Rookie of the Year, and broke the home run record for rookies at the time. But if you're Elly De La Cruz and you have that speed and you're young enough that you're going to have that for a while, I'm sure that's going to be a point of interest, is cutting down the strikeouts. Because if the ball's put in play, the threat of him running down the line is enough to make some infielders bobble it, and get a little shaky. It's if he can cut down on the strikeouts, it's only going to get even more fun to see him on base more.
And you'd have to think he'll learn that. Certainly if he's learning Japanese as a third language, you know what I mean? He's going to get better. Absolutely.
It's a skill that we've seen rookies learn and adapt to, and especially when Judge still strikes out a lot, but that's his game. He takes his A swing a ton. So he's got to commit and agree. Yeah, okay. If I'm on base more, that's better for me and the team and baseball. So I think
I'm sure you will. Last one for you, Jomboy. Just circling back to the Yankees. You could make the case right now they are the 5th best team in their division, for real. And it's kind of crazy. Again, they were 50-22. The Orioles, and they just lost to the Rays again last night. I mean, the amount of times Arozarena has literally flexed on this team this year, I've lost track. The Red Sox are now 10 games over 500. And, you know, we've seen what the Yankees have been up to lately. What should they do? What can they do? Do they just I don't know. I would say give up the farm for Mason Miller, or if he's available, or give up the farm for somebody else. But if they had a farm, we'd see these guys in pinstripes right now, I'd imagine. So what do they do?
Yeah, they definitely need help in the corners. They need someone that can hit, that can play first or third. I've liked what Ben Rice has done. I don't know if you can bank on that he's the guy to take you home. I'd love it if he was. I really enjoy watching him. They need bullpen help. Right now, their bullpen is a waiver wire bullpen. Anyone can come and go besides Canely and Clay Holmes. So they need top-end help, but they also need just guys to eat innings along the way. They have some coming off the IL there. And then I don't think they need any help starting pitching. I think that'll come around, and hopefully Clark Schmidt returns. But you really need Stanton and Clark to come back, and you need Verdugo, Volpe, and Glaber to be able to provide some help. I think they have enough talent, and the schedule softens a ton in August and September. But this hole they're digging can get really deep because these guys are not returning for a month. And I don't know if any trade they make is going to help them. And the schedule is relentless through July. So it's just how deep does this hole get dug? And how much can you get back when you're healthy and made some big trades? I'm getting nervous.
I'm with you. Man.
That's a shame.
Okay. That's the Red Sox fan in the corner right there. So, but you got all the reason to be happy right now. All of it.
And we're overachieving, so this season's kind of a wash.
You keep saying that, but you're 10 games over 500, and we'll see what happens. Jomboy, thanks for the time, brother. Enjoy the All-Star Game in Arlington. The Talkin Baseball pod is how you can follow that, as well as the rest of the offerings from Jomboy Media. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's Jomboy himself right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.